Hey, Facebook friends. I am coming to you with an update, and I have the Loves to Men background with me because everything is intertwined with this full community initiative. So, Lovespin, I'm just going to give you a quick little overview. It launched over a year and a half ago, and we are duplicating what they do in Fort Wayne with their Love Fort Wayne, but we've added another area that we focus on. So we say that we have five pillars that we focus on. It's how can we love our families, love our schools, love our pastors, love our leaders, and love our Lakers. Because here in Steuben County, the 101 Lakes County, Lakers do make up over a third of our population, more than triples during the lake season. So we want to recognize them and embrace them, especially while they're here. And so part of that is by launching this boat in worship service, which we started on Memorial Day weekend. And we've had so many amazing people come and join and lean in and help this make all of this possible. But as some of you may know, I have had some challenges along the way with this. So, some boat challenges. I do feel like God has put it on my heart to launch this ministry. But as with everything, when you're following the Lord, you typically will have a target on your back. Satan wants to thwart those efforts, and we're just praying against that. But I will say I have seen so many blessings that have come out of all the challenges, and I would not have received those blessings without the challenges. So I want to give a little testimony about some of the things that have transpired as a result. So I have been blessed to connect with so many people and I know I keep on saying so many things and so many people. It's just because it's been incredible to me. And it's, I don't know how else to verbalize it, but it's been wonderful. From all the different pastors that represent all the different local churches in this community that have stepped in to offer delivering the services or the message at these boat in worship services, to everybody that has attended the worship services. But going back to some of the challenges, so I had some boat challenges. I have a pontoon. I was going to use my pontoon for this whole effort. But right out of the gate, I started having some issues, some mechanical issues with it. And you know, as a result, I've had to be towed back to my dock or to my lift more times than I can even count. Well, I can count them. I don't want to, but I'm going to acknowledge them because I want to shout out to all the people that have helped me along the way and some of the conversations that I've had. So my first towing experience happened right before Memorial Day when I wanted to go out there and test how long it was going to take me to go get there, pick up the pastor, go to the sandbar, set up and do everything. Well, I didn't get quite that far. I made it to Snow Lake and then it quit. I was going to it was sputtering a little bit, so I wanted to stay relatively close and went over to the second bay. It quit on me, and then I ended up floating over to the castle. A lot of people know the castle over on Snow Lake. Well, I've only met the owner of that place. His name's Larry Gunkel. I've only met him one time that I can recall, but um, the connection there is that he was friends of my family, my dad and my uncle growing up. So they both grew up on Cook Road and Fort Wayne. And so I happened to float right over to his dock area, and he came out and we had a conversation while I was waiting for my neighbors to come and tow me back, which that to me is a blessing. Making those connections, I feel like God orchestrates all of that. And you never know exactly why. And I still, maybe, it's not real clear to me, but you never know what's going to come out of that. But I want to shout out and say thank you to Cal Teely and Eric Wiedemann because they are my neighbors and they came over and helped me get back to my dock. And then I, thought I resolved the issue. But lo and behold, the next day I did make it out to the sandbar, but wasn't feeling real confident that I'd make it back. And so my friends from across the lake, Celeste and Dennis, they towed me back. And so thankful for them. But while we were out there, so Dennis and Celeste came out to support the Boat and Worship launch, and then Jamie and Jeff Stout also came out and supported it, and Jeff leaned into it to offer to help me try to troubleshoot some of the stuff. Still having some issues with it leading into the next week. And so they offered up their boat, which felt so blessed in that because, um, they hadn't seen me drive a boat. And even though I have a pontoon, that doesn't say anything, I don't think. But, you know, Jeff was working, Jamie's out of town. They said, here, just take our boat. We believe in what you're doing. We want to support it. And then, still troubleshooting this whole boat thing, and then ended up needing it the next weekend too. But I received the part that because I started changing out different parts in the fuel system. And if you've seen any of the different videos, I walk through how all that worked. I did not plan on doing a lot of the repairs on my own. I thought I'd do one little thing here, one little thing there. And it ended up being a whole big thing. But they ended up letting me borrow their boat so that we could have the Boat and Worship 2 weekends in a row. Father's Day weekend, I thought surely I got the new part and everything seemed great, was able to pull it off the lift, and then did a couple circles around, or did one little circle around my lake and put it back in the lift on the lift. And I do want to give a shout out to Sherry Grant. So she had to contact Trey Scott, who came out and tried to help me troubleshoot. And we were still struggling, but I, somehow managed to at least get it started. I don't know what happened exactly. Just, not giving up, I guess. So I thought I had it resolved for Father's Day weekend. And then that morning I got up, went out, and then lo and behold, it died on me again on my lake. And so my goodness. I am very, very thankful that people take notice and they reach out to offer help, even when I'm a little bit too embarrassed to ask for it. But thank you to Jeff Fish and his daughter, Father's Day weekend, and he's like calls me and says, "Hey, Teresa, I think I see kind of hanging out there floating." And so he came out, he was going to come out and tow me back with his boat, but they hadn't used it, so the battery's dead. So what he does is he recruits his daughter to come over and with their kayaks, and they're pushing me back to my lift. And then another neighbor, Andy Carr, he sees us doing this, and he comes out and offers to tow us back to my dock. And I just at least I'm meeting my neighbors and knowing which ones like want to step up and help, not that the others don't, but my goodness, glad to see and meet and connect and reconnect with a lot of people. But so got it towed back over there, and then still troubleshooting, trying to figure things out, not having much luck replacing the spark plugs because I kept thinking that was the issue. And then I made my public announcement that I needed help because I was getting so frustrated and I couldn't figure it out. And well, I waited till I got the spark plugs and thought, surely this is going to be the resolution to this issue, because I was thinking maybe it just they weren't properly indexed. But anyway, that didn't resolve it. So I finally broke down and called the contact that Trey Scott gave me, who is Jack. It's a technician that works at the marina that he's at. And he came out this past Sunday. So I borrowed Jamie and Jeff's boat again this Sunday. And I was like, you know what? If I can't figure it out, then I'm just gonna get it towed and take it off to Marina. I give up. And still having a ton of people reaching out to me, giving me all sorts of suggestions on what it could be and sending me, videos and recommendations, and I'm trying all of them. And I just to name the ones that reached out to me, I just have to give a shout out because I'm so grateful for the people that, you don't have, even if you don't know, you're still trying. And, a lot of them were good suggestions. I couldn't figure it out. And, you're not there. So just going based off of the little videos and the things I was sharing, I learned a lot, is what I can say. So Nathan Colio, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. He's the one I bought my boat from, and he has no obligation, but still, thank you for still reaching out to help me out. I know now how to check the spark, and I think that was I'm not sure exactly who was the original person that suggested that, but he got on the phone and walked me through how to do that. And then my neighbor down the road, Shannon Decker, came down, and because it's a two-person thing. And so she came down and helped me out. And this whole Loves to Bend, we had our prayer gathering the um, previous Tuesday, so a week ago. And so Rob Taylor's stepped in and said, "Hey, I've got a friend that can help you, Robbie Devlin." Well, come to find out, Robbie used to ride my school bus. He was older than me, but he was gonna help out when he could. Very busy person, but just thankful for the people that willing to, do that help. Jim Hart, know him through a community thing that I'm involved in. Rick Malecki, like I met him many years ago, and we're both consultants. Bill Serral, Nathan Hayes Camp. He's going to be one of our upcoming pastors that's going to deliver a message. An old school friend from Prairie Heights, Rustin Robbins, and David Streeter, Aaron Claudy, Skylar King, Rachel Waltz, Brian Schleback, Andrew Sanders, Son Hun, my favorite son, Lori Mitchner, Leanne White. Y'all suggested and offered to give me some kind of help of some sort, or connect me with someone. And then not to mention all the people that have been lifting it up and encouraging and offering sympathy and prayers. So Greg Bender from, oh gosh, over 20 years ago, when I used to go to Grace Christian Church in Fort Wayne, till Tim Callison from the Trelleborg days, Randy McKinley and Tom Top. All of you guys have just leaned in to kind of help and encourage. But, this whole boat in worship, I mean, this is what it's all about, connecting with people. And I hope that people will see the blessing, even when you have challenges. God is constantly blessing you. Now, here's the other part of this testimony that I want to share. So the boat is fixed, and it's because of all the different connections. But here's where it kind of came together. And I'm going to bounce back and forth a little bit between the boat in worships that have already occurred and last Sunday when it got resolved. So this contact that Trey had given me, Jack, he actually went to Prairie Heights and he graduated in 2020. His mom went to Prairie Heights and she graduated in 2000. So 5 years after me, I'd never met her, but they were over on Turkey Lake. So he grew up on the lake, went to Impact Academy. And so he grew up in the lake, and just lake marine mechanics was something that he was just interested as a result of that, living in that lake environment. And so he's got 5 years under his belt, still young family. And I was just so blessed by him coming out last Sunday, so just a couple days ago. And he was down at my boat helping me figure out what was going on. And I went up to get my jump starter, because left it in my vehicle, and got up to my car and seen that him and his young family, they were waiting there for him to come and work on it. So his wife and two little kids, and made me feel so bad because it's so stinking hot on Sunday. So I'm like now wanting to hurry up. So I was thankful to know that they're here waiting. And here's the thing, and uh, I will switch over and show you what the fix was. But I kind of want to tell a story, and then I'll show that for anybody that's interested. So anyway, he fixed it, and then it was a hot day, so I wanted to say thank you and took them out for a boat ride. And for anybody that's been to Little Otter where I'm at, it takes a while to get anywhere, because Little Otter's a 10-mile-per-hour lake. Big Otter's a 10-mile-per-hour lake, and then you have to go down this really long channel to get to Snow Lake. It takes me about a half an hour to get there. So we get out there, and then I took a couple rounds of boat around both bays of Snow Lake. And then we made our way back and ended up walking them up to their vehicle. And I'll just say, I know that this is a family that could be blessed. And so when we were all said and done and they were getting ready to leave, I went over and asked him what I owed him. And, I didn't know that it didn't look like he was really wanting anything or going to ask for anything. A very humble young man. And he said, well, usually it would cost this amount. And I don't know that I should say what it was, but going to the boat in worship, like I don't ask for donations. This is a community initiative. This is something that God has put on my heart. I just want to promote all the other good things. And if people want to donate to those different outreaches, nonprofits, churches, I want to encourage them to do that. But I will say that it has been a blessing, and I do believe that it is God orchestrated all of this. So, the first boat in worship, I was blessed by that. It was cold, and we still had people show up. There was 8 boats that showed up, and there was a couple people that came up and gave me some money. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it because, it wasn't like a church service where you ask, for people to tithe. So very grateful and very thankful, and just kind of set the money aside. And then this past Sunday, so 2 days ago, I hopped out of the boat after the pastor had left just to go around and talk to people and connect. And a couple other people had given me some more money. And just a side note, so this is another testimony on top of that testimony. One of the guys that gave me money, I thought he was going to fist bump me. So I went to fist bump me and he handed me money. And he told me that his son asked him if he wanted to go to church. He said, nope, not unless it's out on the lake. And, he's like, well, as a matter of fact. And so they ended up there at the boat and worship service this last Sunday, and I hope they come back. But the money from the first service and the second service was exactly what Jack had said that it would typically cost. So I gave it to him. I am so thankful. And I know that some of you were saying it sounds like you have boat problems and you've been spending some money. So here you go. But I still wasn't totally comfortable. I was thankful, but I wasn't totally comfortable accepting it. But I really think that it was a God orchestrated thing. God put it on these people's hearts to give money, and then it just went through their hands to my hands to this young family's hands. And I can tell you that they probably needed the money more than I did. And I just feel like that's a blessing. And I wanted to share that testimonial with people because I know that God is working and I know that He wants things to happen. And Whether you want to believe it or not, I think that all these things transpire as a result. I have, and I'll tell you a couple other things that have happened. So things are not perfect, but we are launching this. This is brand new. And so we haven't worked all the kinks out. We're going to continue to do it, and we're going to keep on showing up every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. We encourage you to get there early so you can get parked and not miss out on anything. But 8:30 a.m. at the main sandbar on Lake James, right off of the Potawatomi and shoreline. And this Sunday, we have a special guest that is coming to town. His name is Billy Ballinger. He's from this area, and he's coming back to deliver the service. He's going to do both the worship and the the message. And we've got some other people involved in that. He's going to have a guitarist there, and then we've got John Swigert with Jams for Jesus, who is also the one that is putting together the worship in the park that's coming in September. And then the proceeds for that go to Turning Point, which is one of our local nonprofits, the homeless shelter. So anyway, I know I keep on detouring, but it's because there's so many good things that are happening in this community and so many people pulling together to make it happen. Couldn't happen without those people leaning in. And, I believe it's the Holy Spirit that leads them, and they're listening and they're stepping up and they're offering whatever it is God wants them to do. And I will tell you, so everybody else is, they're volunteering their time, and anyone, and all these different pastors and people leading worship have donated their time and their talent to these boat-in worships. But I do want to say that this weekend is this Sunday, this Sunday, June 29th at 8:30. We are going to have Billy Ballinger as our special guest, and he's coming into town. I believe he's from Florida, or now lives in Florida. So, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors, who are Jackie and Denny Kaiser with Best Insurance Settlement. They're public adjusters, and they are the ones that are paying for him to come and to deliver the worship and the message. And so, no, most of our services are about 30 minutes, but this is going to be extended. And I encourage you to come out, get there early, invite your friends, your family, your neighbors, share the boat-in worship and the different posts to your Facebook and to the different groups that you're involved in, so more people can hear this message. And I ask that you pray over it. And I'm looking forward to this being a blessed time, and for every Sunday, that people are being blessed by it. And we do encourage you to come however you can. I am going to share a screen of the upcoming different people that are coming to the boat-in worship. And then I will share you the fix that I had for my boat, why I couldn't fix it and why Jack could. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen so you can see the things, the upcoming boat-in worship, the people that are going to be serving for that. So hopefully you can see this. I'm going to move me out of the way. But here are the different pastors that have already come and delivered a message. And we're going to reschedule Josh Hawkins from Fremont Community Church. He was the one that was going to deliver the Father's Day message, and unfortunately that didn't work out. But he's going to come back on August 3rd and deliver that message. And we've got a couple openings that I'm sure we will get filled. But these are all the pastors from the local churches and organizations that are coming to deliver these messages to to the lake crowd. And I know some people are saying, well, 8:30 is too early. And there is a reason that we meet at 8:30 because some of these pastors are from smaller churches and they're the only pastor, but they still want to be part of this. They want to give their time to connect with the Lakers. And so some of them come and deliver the message and then they get voted away so they can go to their church to deliver that message. So just please keep that in mind. We don't do it to make it challenging for people. We do it because we want to include these different local pastors that want to be part of it and give the message that God has laid on their heart. So if you want to take a snapshot of this and then share it, we'd love for you to get the word out. I'll be putting this also on our Loves to Bend Facebook page. So if you're not following the Loves to Bend Facebook page, I encourage you to follow that. And we also have a Loves to Bend community happenings group where different people in the community are sharing all the different faith-related events that are going on, whether it's a VBS or a women's retreat or some of the other upcoming events that are going on. Anybody and everyone can share to that group. You don't have to worry about it being confirmed or so that you can do it. I've just got it set up so that you can just share the different faith-related events because I want to get the word out and people to connect and have every opportunity to, get with other believers and fellowship with them. So hope you had a chance to take a look at this. And now I'm going to pop over to the resolution for the issues that I had. So for those that want to know, stay tuned. I'm about ready to share what actually happened. Get myself out of the way again. So here is the original fuel system for my Evinrude, my 2026-27, or sorry, 2006/2007 Evinrude E-Tech 90 horsepower outboard motor. So that's the term I use anytime I do research to try and figure out what's going on with this. And this is the original part here, the exploded view of it off to the left. And over here on the right is the diagram that tells you how the fuel is going through the system. So I'm going to go back and forth a little bit here just so you can follow along with how the fuel moves through the system, or at least I thought. So on the original part, this is how the fuel flowed through the system and the parts that I changed. So over here on the right, if you can see this and just imagine that it continues off to the right, there was the fuel tank is over here, and then there's a hose that I replaced that goes to the primer bulb, and I replaced the primer bulb too, and then the hose from the primer bulb got replaced that comes over here, and then there's a connection here. Replace this hose so where it's showing the red, and I don't know if you can see the arrows. This is the flow of the fuel. So replace this fuel line, fuel hose, then went over and replaced this one as well. This goes into what they call the fuel lift pump. And you can see that number 3, fuel lift pump. And then it comes out and down through here and goes around up into the inline fuel filter. And then comes out of the inline fuel filter and down and around into the canister. This canister is called the vapor separator. It's the fuel vapor separator canister. And so this is the intake port. And then it goes through, it shows that it goes up here and through, and then I can't quite see how it works, but essentially it comes out of here, out of this top port, and then down and around, and then up into the injectors, and then comes wet back down here, and in the yellow, if you can follow along with the yellow, it goes back into the return is here on this side. So if you're looking at this, when you come over to this exploded view, um, this number 11 on this right hand side, that is where it showed that it was the intake. So I don't know, it doesn't necessarily show it here. It's not labeled. Maybe it is. Let me see, 13. No, it doesn't say it. But anyway, you can see by the flow where the intake is. This was the intake on the original design. The one on the outside or the left, that was the return from the fuel injectors. Well, in the redesign, and you can't tell because I could not find a diagram to show me how they had changed the redesign. I looked everywhere. This is what the new canister looks like. So it's all completely enclosed, and some of the things had moved around a little bit, but got all the hoses reconnected, thought I had it done properly because I took a video ahead of time. And if they would have left the design essentially the way that it was originally, it would have been great. And we tested it. So Nathan had the idea of pushing fuel through the system, make sure there was no air anywhere and that it was going through. So we were able to test that, and we pushed fuel out of the fuel filter, no problem. And then, so we knew that fuel was going, we thought, into the canister, except nothing was coming out of this port. And the reason it wasn't coming out of this port, because they switched it and it would have come over here, filled it up, and then went out of this port. So anyway, that was the fix. Jack knew it because he had worked on Evinrude's. So as much as everyone was trying to help me, and I'm so grateful for all the help, we probably weren't going to figure it out because we didn't have the mechanical know-how. And I'm just going to say it again. I did not intend to do as much as I did on the boat. I only did it because, well, again, as I was replacing all the fuel hoses, because some of them had started to break apart and degrade, and they recommend that you change out your fuel hoses every 10 years minimum, recommended every 3 to 5 years. So when people say boat stands for break out another 1,000, it's probably because you haven't maintained the things that you're supposed to maintain. I'm just going to throw that out there. So we do have to take some responsibility. And so lesson learned. But I did create some of the costs myself because when I was removing the hose from this return on the original one, I snapped it off. So that was a over $600 oopsie. But it was actually over $1,000 that I ended up spending, which is, it's all good. I know that God will provide. He always does. And so, lesson learned, I learned how to check for spark. I learned how to change out a couple parts on my boat. I'm very clear and confident on the way that my fuel system now, at least where the fuel flows throughout the system on the boat. And I changed my oil. I learned how to do that. I had a siphon tool that was motorized that I never used. I bought it, but never used. So it gave me a reason to use that too. So it's all good. Everything has been, I think, happened for a reason. If nothing else, so I'm just going to throw this out here too, because I'll spend a ton of time on Facebook other than to wish people happy birthday, happy anniversary, and congratulations on all the great things. I love to celebrate all the good things that are happening in people's lives. I think we should do that more often, focus on the positive stuff. And I will tell you, if you do that and not engage in the things that you don't like, the algorithms will pick that up, and then you will see more positive things. So for the people that say that they only see negative things on social media, it might be because you're engaging with those negative things. So just quickly scroll past things and spend extra time engaging with things that make you happy. And I think you'll see more of that, and then you'll have a better experience on social media. So that's my little soapbox on that. I really do think that works. That is my experience on social media. Um, but I think if you focus on the good things and the opportunities, they become more evident. Like I wasn't exactly thrilled to have the challenges, but you know what? If I wouldn't, I wouldn't have been able to have the conversations that I've had. And part of this whole Bowdoin experience, Bowdoin worship service, yes, it's to do outreach and offer an alternative for people that are coming up to the lake and maybe don't have a home church or want to stay on the lake to still stay connected with God, and hear His word. And that, so that is absolutely part of it, but it's also to get people that share faith to connect with one another and build community. And that's one thing I really want to come out of this. I guess I can take the share off here. That really is what's in my heart for this Bowdoin service and for all the things that I'm involved in is to help people connect in the community. Um, and so I hope you do. I hope you embrace that opportunity. And as we've mentioned, whether you have a boat or not, you can still come and join us. You can bring a kayak, you can bring a paddle board and launch it right off of the Potawatomi Inn shoreline, and or if you have a float, it really is not that far away. You can float on over. I would just come early, come early, and then make your way over there. We'd love to have you join us, one way or another. At some point, I know that there might be other opportunities, even if we're not as close to the shoreline as we'd like to be, for there to be like a shortwave radio frequency that we might invest in to get that message out so anybody that's nearby can hear the message as well. And then for those of you that are not aware, I am trying to do the Facebook Live so that you can at least have some of the experience, but we'd love to have you in person. I think everything is much better in person. And then you get to connect with the people around that share your faith that are in the community. So for those of you that have hung in, thank you. Um, just one other quick thing. We intentionally picked this as our essential logo for Loves to Bend because we want this rippling effect to happen. There's so many connections that people can bless other people that bless other people. And I think that if you embrace the challenges, um, so I was telling a friend this too, is that I think I typically am the type of person that I want to help other people, and not necessarily ask for help. But I also know that you rob people of the opportunity to help. Like if there weren't people for me to help, then I wouldn't feel that purpose and that sense of, help in needing somebody needing my help. And so for the people like I typically end up being self-sufficient. Sometimes you got to be vulnerable. And I don't know, some people may disagree with me on this, but I don't. So the Bible does say that God does not tempt you, but there is scripture that says that you will be tested. And I think that everything can be an opportunity. And I think that testing helps to build resolve, make you stronger. And if you'll lean into it instead of running away, I think that it strengthens you. You lean into God's strength, not your own. So I do want to be clear about that. Um, you know, knowing that it's God that's providing that strength and that leading. and he can provide a way in everything. And I think he has, and all the challenges, as long as you are letting him direct your paths, because that's scriptural too, that, you can make your plans, but then you need to seek God and make sure that those plans that you're making are in line with what he wants and ask him to direct those steps. So anyway, I know I'm a little long-winded. I need to get a soapbox because I do tend to like to talk about some of that stuff. But I hope that you are all blessed. And if you got something from this, great. I hope that you will stay engaged with Love Suben in whatever capacity, whether it's in person. If you can't make it, I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad for not being able to make it, but pray over it. Pray that the right people, their hearts would be prepared to receive and to be prompted. If they feel prompted to come, that they come, they find a way to get out there. And that if there's somebody that can provide that way, that they offer it. Um, and that God will work through all the people that have an opportunity to come and offer their time, talent, and treasure to serve this community and fellowship with other people. So anyway, all right, I'm done. I hope you guys have a blessed day, blessed night whenever you're seeing this, and that we somehow have a chance to connect and interact. Hope to meet you in some capacity. So that's all I gotta say. Have a good night.